Erin.
I'm Jessica.
And today we are going to be sharing some of our Christmas recommendations. We decided just to do a separate video on winter because I think winter reads are probably my favorite. More than fall. I feel like I'm most of my fantasy era.
That's true.
In winter, I don't know. And like Caraval, Once Upon a Broken Heart, those books remind me of winter and I don't know why. I think it's like anything that with like a more whimsical, magical system. War is fall. Cozy is winter.
War is...
Tell me I'm wrong. Brandon Sanderson, you would like read in the fall time. Throne of Glass.
Yeah. And winter is what?
Like, cozy.
See, I feel like it's the other way around.
Not me. It's like Caraval, Once Upon a Broken Heart, Margaret Rogerson. Those are like magical fantasy books.
Mm-hmm.
Not like high stakes.
Gotcha. Okay.
It makes sense to me.
Anyway. What's your first Christmas recommendation?
My first book, I just realized I wrote down none of the authors, but I'm going to have a picture of the book on the screen. The first book is Christmas Baggage. And this is a book that's on Kindle Unlimited. I don't even know how many books are in the series. Lots. I read the second one. I think it's just called Faking Christmas last year too. I did enjoy it, but I liked this one more, so. And it's the first one, so I thought I'd just mention this one. They are standalones, but I just read them in the order they're in anyways. But this is a closed-door romance set in London. It's about this girl named Claire who lives in the States, and she's just tired of going on, like, family vacations with her parents and going on, like, cruise ships for Christmas. So she decides to take off some time of work. She owns a flower shop, and so she takes some time off and is going to London with her friend. And
good setting.
Yeah.
Of course.
So she's staying with her friend and her friend's aunt and cousin. And the cousin, of course, is like a enemies to lovers situation. As in Grumpy Sunshine, pretty much. I don't really know why. I can't remember exactly why they don't like each other. Something stupid, I'm sure. But it's also like tourist vibes, which is nice because I feel like most Christmas books set in London, it's like the people, you know, are from there. So like as someone that's never been to London, it's cozy, but like it's hard for me to picture. So reading a book from someone from the States' perspective of going to London for the first time, and they go to like the Harry Potter like sets, like it's just like a tourist experience and it's fun to read. And like even in the synopsis, I thought this was funny. It says he has like a Darcy / Poldark look with a Darth Vader / Malfoy personality. And so there's just like endless references to every fandom to ever exist. So it's just a good time. Silly book.
Yeah. Silly's good. Cheesy's good.
Yeah.
I feel like cheesy is most acceptable for Christmas books.
100%. Because it's Hallmark. It's just reading Hallmark.
True. Okay, the first book I'm going to talk about is the one I've read the most recently, and that is The Book Club Hotel by Sarah Morgan, which is also on Kindle Unlimited. And this follows our main character, can't remember her name off the top of my head, but her and her husband had bought this old house, turned it into an inn, and he dies really unexpectedly in like a freak accident, and they're fairly young, like in their early 30s, and they have a daughter. And so she's left trying to figure out how to run this inn by herself, manage the staff, manage the kitchen, and like, I don't know, just being like an employer for the first time because her husband kind of did all of that. So it follows her and her perspective of running the inn, and then we have these three friends that every year they get together for a book club as kind of like an excursion, but also as an excuse just to like reunite every year. And they usually do it in the summer, but this year they have to do it at Christmas time because something happened in the summer and they couldn't. So they all decide to go one girl in particular decides to go to this specific inn. And they're like, well, that's weird because you usually pick like luxurious hotels with like a spa. And they're like, that's very unlike her to pick this like cutesy little picturesque inn. Well, there's a reason that she picks that specific inn, which you find out later, and it would be a spoiler for me to tell you. Well, then their stories kind of like all start to mesh together. And it's just really cute. Like there's a found family aspect, there's friendship and like womanhood and single mom and like navigating dating again and like being alone and figuring out how to run this establishment by herself and like make it her own dream and not just her husband's dream. But it was really cute. It's also a really good book like to transition into Christmas because Christmas happens like the last few chapters of the book, so it's mostly like winter leading up to Christmas. But yeah, I really liked it. That's the second Sarah Morgan book that I've read, and she's kind of like, if you're looking for like a cozy, easy go-to author, I think she's a good place to start.
My next book we have both read and loved, and it's Flora's Traveling Christmas Shop. It's exactly what it sounds like. There's not much to it plot-wise, I'd say. It's more of like almost a small town story, except it's a community of traveling shops. They're all parked in Lapland, and they just all like gossip within each other.
Or
it's
like
just
they sell stuff out of their van.
Yeah, it's
like
very
a
entertaining. RV. Of course, she meets this guy named Connor who hates Christmas, grumpy sunshine, so she just like tries to get him to love Christmas because she literally has a Christmas store. So like her livelihood is centered around Christmas, so she's offended that he doesn't like it. And that's pretty much all there is to the plot. It's a really fun story though, and I loved all the characters.
Yeah, and it was just like the atmosphere. I feel like you don't get a lot of Christmas books, like a lot of them are set in New York or England or like Scotland, but to have a book set in like actual Christmas, like it's Christmas, Lapland is Christmas world. That was really like a nice change of scenery.
I agree.
Okay, the next book I'm going to talk about is like one of my tried and true authors, Courtney Walsh, and that is A Cross Country Romance.
I think it's called Cross Country Christmas.
Oh yeah, it is.
The second
one.
Yeah.
I think is okay, it's called A Cross Country Christmas. And this follows, again, don't remember her names, but our main girl doesn't really like Christmas. She doesn't really...
I think it's for a justifiable reason.
Yeah, she doesn't have like a good track record with Christmas. And for some reason, she decides to go home for Christmas that year. Oh, her brother's wife is about to have her baby. That's what it is. And so he arranges for her to come home because he's like, you're not getting out of this. You're going to come home this year. So he arranges his best friend, who she like used to have a crush on growing up and had like a falling out with, to bring her home for Christmas. Well, he has like ulterior motives of his own, and you don't really know what they are until later in the book, but he has this basically road trip planned out for them and all of the stops planned out, and he's like really wanting to take his time on this trip, and she's like, can you just get me home? But he is trying to like, he's doing it for a reason, but he's also doing it to try to like help her rekindle her love for Christmas. So it was just really cute. Like the characters that kind of are incorporated along the road trip are really cute, and like the things that he kind of like deems as tradition for him I thought were fun too. And I haven't read the second one. Have you read the second one?
I liked it more.
Okay.
I loved it.
So that'll be on my list. Okay, maybe I'll read that in January.
It's a cross-country wedding, so they're going...
to their wedding.
Kind
Spoiler.
of. Not really. It's like they're reliving the road trip.
Oh.
As, like, the days leading up to their wedding. And they're going alongside them.
Okay.
It's like his...
It's his
sister
and... they're in the book. They're in the first book.
Or her best friend and his brother.
Something. I think it's his brother.
I know it's her best friend.
Anyways.
It's really good.
The second book is, like, a continuation, kind of the first.
And they're both on Kindle Unlimited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, anything by Courtney Walsh, I highly recommend. Can't go wrong. I can't ever even give her anything below 5 stars because I just love her so much.
It's true. Next book is A Holiday by Gaslight, and this is a novella. It's not like a novella as in like a part of a series. It's just a standalone under 200 pages. And I think this is like still my favorite Christmas book of all time.
Aww.
I love it. It's Victorian. It's like a courtship of convenience. I looked, like I was scrolling through my Goodreads looking at all the Christmas books that I've read before this. And I saw that I had like 17 highlights of this book. And it's under 200 pages. So, like, think about that. The writing is just so beautiful. But, like, still, everything's to the point. Like, there's not that much dragging on, obviously. So.
Is that by Mimi Matthews?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it so much. You should totally read it. It's a perfect book if you, like, want to read something on Christmas also. Since it is so short, you could just knock it out.
Okay, the next book I'm going to talk about is Christmas at Rosie Hopkins' Sweet Shop by Jenny Colgan. Now, when I read this, I didn't know, because I think I just got this at the library or something. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that this was technically the second book in the series. I don't feel like after I found that out, after I read it, it affected my reading experience at all. Like, I don't feel like I was missing out or unable to understand the story. But anyways, this follows Rosie Hopkins, who owns this cutesy little sweet shop in Scotland, I think, because all of Jenny Colgan's books are set in Scotland, I'm pretty sure. And she just kind of, like, enjoys living a very simple life. I'm pretty sure the sweet shop was, like, passed down to her from her grandma. And so she's just, like, doing her best, trying to keep it in business, keep the little community happy with their bakery orders and all of that. And she is dating this guy who is like, if you think about Downton Abbey and you think of like the Granthams, how they're kind of like the kings and queens of their village, her boyfriend is like, his family is kind of like that. Like, they're very wealthy, kind of like contribute to taking care of this village, like, you know, it, like, they live in an estate that's been passed down through generations. Well, she gets invited to go to his family's house for the first time, meeting them at Christmas, and then her parents are, like, flying in from Australia, I think. So she's, like, super nervous about how this holiday is gonna go because his mom is very, like, uppity and snobbish about him dating, like, a commoner. So it's about, like, just kind of, like, learning to be comfortable with who you are and how you were raised and not letting, like, societal expectations affect your holiday experience. But it's, like, really funny because it's, like, I feel like anytime there's, like, a story where families mesh, like, two totally different families, it's always a good time.
It is.
It's always drama-filled and definitely full of some laughs. So
The Holiday Shift, this is my only YA book that I think I would still stand by recommending.
It's not by.
After so many years. It's by Tiff Marcello. I don't think I've ever read anything else by her. But I didn't realize, I guess it's gotten, like, kind of popular. Because I saw on Goodreads that, like, Sarah Crowley read it last year and rated it 4 stars. And, like, as someone that doesn't really read YA, I feel like that's a pretty high rating for her. So if you don't normally read YA, there's someone that doesn't normally this liked it. I read this when I was like 16, so I was like, does this hold up? I don't know. I remember really liking it. Anyways, it's like a enemies to lovers, rivals to lovers type of situation. It's set in this like Christmas obsessed town. There's these two people that like they're working at this Christmas inn, I believe, together, and she actually has like a book blog and stuff, so it's like very book filled as well.
I love a good inn story.
I know.
Like, I don't know why that, like, maybe it's Gilmore Girls.
Well, it's
I don't know.
like, I don't know, it almost gives you the vibe of like Downton Abbey, just like so many things happening at once.
Because you have like the staff
and the people that are there. It's like the same. It's like a small town, but more drama because it's all forced proximity.
Yeah, that's true.
But something happens and they're like, they switch their phones on accident and like they can't get them back to each other. So then they just keep finding out like each other's secrets. So it's like drama filled too. It's just a good time. Highly recommend that one.
Okay, the next book I'm going to talk about is a collection of novellas. So it's like by various authors, but it's called A Five and Dime Christmas, and it basically takes place during like When Calls the Heart times. And there's a general store called Five and Dime, which is like a real thing. But it's kind of like all the stories have that common theme of the store. So it's either like staff of the store, customers of the store, like different, you know, people are coming in and out of the store in the different novellas. But some of them are like, I guess all of them have kind of a romance element, but they're all set around Christmas time. They're all clean because this is by like a variety of Christian authors. But it's just really like cute and cozy. They're all, I think, under 200 pages, maybe 250 at the most. But it's like a good palate cleanser to like read them in between things. Potentially, I think I read them all like right in a row. But I really enjoyed it. And I feel like even though they were, again, a little on the cheesy side, I didn't mind because they're Christmassy. So.
Well, you know what you're going into.
Yeah.
I feel like people's perspective is just different. This book is also something we've both read, which is An Ivy Hill Christmas, and apparently this is a part of a series.
But it's like it's a novella. Isn't it?
It's like 200 something pages.
Yeah.
I think if you don't really have interest in like historical things besides, you know, shorter things like Christmas, whatever, I think if you don't have interest in the whole series, you're fine to read this. I never went back and read the rest of the series, but if you're super into this time period, go ahead before this, maybe. And this is about Richard, who lives in London, and he hasn't been home to his family's estate, Ivy Hill, in years, and his mom is like, I'm gonna cut you off, like, you gotta come home or something, or I'm gonna cut you off, like, no allowance. You can't just keep living this lavish life and not doing anything with yourself. And so he goes home, and of course, like, against his will, like, the first love of his life is there, Arabella Audrey. And she wants absolutely nothing to do with him. So he, like, makes it a mission to, like, win her back. But also, is he gonna love Christmas again? Which
love
I'm
his
just like,
family
how is
again.
this, respectfully, how is this even a trip? Like, how do people not like Christmas?
I don't know.
How is this, like, you
How
have to have
does
some
that happen?
serious issues.
I mean, if
that
you have,
you go
like, major
through.
trauma surrounding it,
Yeah, but
I
most of
understand, but,
these
like,
people
it's
don't.
like what they didn't get what they wanted for Christmas, so they don't like it anymore. Sounds kind of bratty to me.
But, yeah, those are my books.
Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk about is, I don't even know if this would be considered a short story. I guess it would be. So I have this collection of, like, Christmas classics, and it's in there. And I just, every year at Christmas, I think about this story, and I think it's because it holds, like, deep-rooted childhood nostalgia. So I loved Little House on the Prairie, the show, when I was little. I don't even think I've honestly read all the books. But there's this certain episode of The Little House on the Prairie Christmas, and it's about Mr. Edwards becoming Santa Claus. And it's in this collection of Christmas classics that I have. So if you have a book like that, it's probably in there, or you can go to the actual Little House on the Prairie book, and it's a chapter in that book. So you can find it there too. But it's about like a snowstorm or a flood or something happens, and the Ingalls girls are like, how is Santa gonna come? And so Mr. Edwards becomes Santa and brings them their presents. And I just remember when I was little, this is what they get for Christmas, okay? They get a cup each.
I mean, that's like something I would literally ask for.
A peppermint stick, not a candy cane, a peppermint stick, and 1 penny. And they were like so excited about all these things. And I just remember when I was little being like, wow, I'd be so disappointed if I got a cup.
What a brat!
A cup, a candy stick, and 1 penny. But they were so happy.
And did it make you a more humble person?
It made me be like, wow.
I think you were more disappointed in them than yourself.
But I was like, in my mind, I was like, wow, they must really like Mr. Edwards a lot to pretend that they're content with a penny, a candy stick, and a cup.
Oh my god.
But I just, like, it holds like a really special place in my heart, because I remember every year at Christmas, I think I had it like on VHS or something, and I would always watch that episode. So you can read it. You can watch it. I bet it's on TV. I'm sure it is. Because Little House on the Prairie reruns.
No,
they're always on. Always. I was kind of low-key in love with the dad.
I know. She had a thing for dads. The Sound of Music. She didn't marry an older man either.
But I did marry a military man, so that was prophetic, I guess. I could see him blowing a whistle to get y'all downstairs. Those are our Christmas recommendations. I could do a whole other one about, we should like curate Christmas movies.
We could, but that would be crazy. How do you even think of them all? I mean, I think I could. We should.
Not including like Hallmarky,
no.
like class, like the tried and true.
I think we have some hot takes.
Yeah. And we should get Ellie involved.
Yeah, we could.
Okay.
But like, do we each rank them individually or like agree?
Do we argue?
I feel like we kind of agree on things.
Yeah. I know we would have some disagreement with Ellie about the Santa Claus movies, because she would put 3 at the top tier.
3, it makes me anxious personally. Anyways, this is about books.
This is about books. For now.
Let us know if you've read any of these. Let us know what you're going to read.
Or what we should read.
Yeah, we'll be posting our TBR soon, but it's not set in stone yet. So give us some recommendations. And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.